This is Leah with Backyard Homestead in Starkville, Mississippi, and we are out this morning working in the garden. And when I picked green beans the other day, there were several rows that just weren't producing very much anymore. So we went ahead and not pulled, but tore those plants off at the ground, removed the plants, and we removed, let's see, one row here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of green beans on this side, and we are getting ready now to go back and plant where these rows were. On this side we're going to plant 2 rows of butter beans, and then over here on this side we removed the green beans, the bush green beans that weren't producing as much anymore, and we pulled all the squash because it just was on its way down, and we were getting about 1 squash a day, so it wasn't worth keeping this much space occupied for as little squash as we were getting. So now we're getting ready. Oh, and everything that we pulled, all the plants that we removed from this area, we put over there in our compost area. So that's all green bean vines and squash plants over here. And so we'll let this break down, or either sometimes, instead of letting it break down in the pile, we'll just lay it out and mow it up and chop it up and use it to mulch with after the plants come up. So we'll see what we'll do with this. But back over here, we're getting ready to plant and show how we plant in a no-till garden. We've popped a line, or have a string line down for where we want our rows to be, and we're going to rake back. Alan got started already. We're going to rake back the hay, or rake back the straw. After we pulled the plants, we just went over it with the lawnmower and chopped up all the hay that was here and any plants that didn't come up clean, and just kind of mulched the whole area. So now we're going to go on either side of where our string is and just rake back the hay mulch that's here. And then we're going to take the digging tool and just aerate the soil a little bit, just loosen it. And then we're going to plant more peas on this side. So after we rake back the hay, and then we'll just take the digging tool and just wanting to aerate the soil. We're not turning it over, we're not tilling it, we're just loosening it up and just making sure it's getting oxygen to it. Alright, so after we get this done, I'll come back and show you what it looks like and show you the next step. One thing I forgot to mention is we still have this row of climbing green beans that hasn't started producing yet, but it just started to bloom. So we're going to count on these for our fresh green beans. And we still have 3 little sections. We have 2 rows of green beans here on either side of these tomatoes, and they were still bearing pretty heavily the last time I picked. And we have another row up here on this side of the cucumbers that was making pretty well, and another little patch over on the other side of that pepper bed. And so we'll still have some left, have some fresh green beans, and probably some still to put up, but go ahead and get our peas, more additional peas in the ground, and get some butter beans planted before it's too late. And okay, we went through and we aerated the soil, took the digging tool and just loosened it up, and now we're going to take boards and put down on the area where it's aerated, so that way we can go back and mulch with our grass clippings and our hay on top of that, but leave a spot to plant the seeds. So we're going to take these fence boards we have and put them down. Line them up end to end in the areas where we are going to plant. And just line them up all the way down on either side of the string. Found all these carpenter ants as I was moving these fence boards. Look, this is all their larvae, and they're frantically trying to grab the babies and move them somewhere else. This whole end, about 3 minutes ago, this end looked like the other end, and they have moved them. I feel kind of bad about disrupting their little nest. Okay, so we have our boards down, covering up the area where we aerated the soil. And these are grass clippings that we have picked up from the side. We have 2 or 3 yards that we know the people, and they set their grass out on the curb and they mow, and so we go by and pick those up. So we've got our grass clippings, and we have our bale of hay, and this is the azomite that we're going to put on the soil, and lawnmower to chop it up with. So we got our tools lined up. Oh, and this is our tool that we use to dig the little trench to put the seeds in. And we're getting ready to lay down the grass clippings and hay now. Alright, now we take the string up. We're going to go back and cover with hay and with the grass clippings.
It'll be mulch.
Cover it, give it the hay, and then we're going to go back with some of the grass clippings so it'll be good and mulched. And I'll come back and show you what this looks like after we get the whole row done. Okay, so now we have the hay and the grass clippings down, and we're going to take the lawnmower over it just to chop it up and mix it together, and then we'll come back and show what's next. The more we run over it, the finer it's getting chopped. It's getting a good mix of that hay and that fresh grass clippings. Looking good. It's about through now. Got it good and chopped up, good and mixed together. We'll probably just need to rake over the top of it a couple times and then be able to lift the boards and go to the next step. So, piling it good. Now we're gonna lift up the boards. If we're gonna change one thing, decided maybe it might be better to try to leave the boards about a mower width apart. That's perfect. That way you can mow the mower down between without bumping the boards. So pretty good. Left a good open spot. Leaving the dirt exposed. Good deal. Alright, we're going to take all the boards off and come back again and show you what it looks like. Alright, so this is what it looks like when we got finished. We've got two areas to plant our double row of butter beans. And we have 2 different methods. One, we'll either take our hoe and go down and dig a little furrow to plant this, a little trench to put the seeds in. And we have also used this. It's actually a fireplace poker, but it works perfect for digging a very narrow, slender trench to put the seeds on. So we'll show both ways. We'll show both of those in a minute. We're going to sprinkle some azomite down, and then we have a good heavy layer of mulch on either side of the row, so when the seeds pop up, we can just drag that right back in around the seeds and have it mulched and ready to go.
Different minerals in it.
Okay, we're getting ready to add the azomite. It's basically crushed rock. It says derived from a volcanic ash deposit, and it has all the basic minerals that we need. We're getting ready to sprinkle it. And we'll sprinkle it on the area where we're going to plant the seeds, dig the little trench to plant the seeds. A little humid out here this morning. Got the shirt soaked enough to wring it out already, and it's 9 in the morning. Alright, 2 different methods. One, we take the thing I talked about earlier. It was designed to be a fireplace poker, and just dig a very, very narrow, slender trench to plant the seeds in. And other way, take a plain old garden hoe and dig a little trench. That's the only way I used to do it. I grew up using a hoe, but I've gotten where I really like that fireplace tool because it digs, it goes just a little bit deeper and gives you a good soft bed to put the seeds in. But 2 different ways. Now we'll go back and we're planting peas. pink eye purple hull peas in this row and in those rows that we started getting ready but don't have ready yet. So we got this double row planted with pink eye purple hull peas. And then we got this row planted, double row with pink eye purple hull peas. And now we are about to plant this row with bush lima beans. Alright, all that's left is watering in the seeds. Again, we planted 2 double rows of pink eye purple hull peas here and over here. And then over in this far row, we planted a row of bush butter beans. And over there where Alan is using the digging tool to aerate those 2 rows, we are going to plant more bush beans. And then on the little row right in front of the Roma tomatoes, we're going to plant something else. But we're thinking right now that we're going to wait until the Romas are ready to harvest, and then we'll harvest them and clear off those fences and plant something climbing. Either some climbing green beans or some climbing butter beans. Not quite sure yet, but something will go on those rows where the Roma tomatoes are. And that's about it for the update today. Thanks for watching. Alright, it's been about 5 days since we planted the garden, and we had Hurricane Barry come through, so we haven't been able to get out here. It's been raining pretty much non-stop for 2 days. But I wanted to give you an update on how these are doing. Got a great stand of the peas up. We planted them close together because we didn't, just in case some didn't come up, but it looks like they all came up, so we'll probably get out and do some thinning on these later. Watch them, but they look really healthy and nice. So we have these 2 rows of peas, and then we have these 2 rows of peas, and got good stands in both places. And then over here, we planted bush butter beans under these climbing butter beans, and got a pretty good stand on these. There's some gaps, but overall a good stand on them, and they're looking healthy and nice too. And you can see the wind really blowing. You see the trees moving. We're on the back side of the hurricane. We're getting a lot of wind, been getting a lot of really heavy rain. We're kind of in a break right now. And we planted this 4 days ago. We planted this the next day. We ran out of seed and we had to wait till we could get to the co-op. But this is a double row of butter beans. We have a pretty good stand up here and a decent stand here. And then underneath these Roma tomatoes, we planted more bush green beans. And we went with the contender green beans because they just produced a lot more heavily than the blue light. We have bush green beans on the back side of this row of Roma tomatoes. And then over here, we have another row of bush green beans. And they're just starting to come up. They got the hooks. So they're pushing up, have a nice stand of these up. So hopefully we'll have time to get a good stand of peas and butter beans and additional green beans.
There's a lot of green.
And our Romas are finally just starting to turn. So we should be harvesting Romas in the next couple of weeks. Their plants are hanging with Romas. Not much turning yet, but a little bit here and there. Ooh. Just wanted to give a couple shots. These Romas are just hanging like grapes. Big, beautiful Romas. And hanging in really nice clusters. So we should have lots of tomatoes over here. I've got to get out here and tie these. It's just been so wet. But huge, beautiful clusters of them. I need to tie these up again. But looks like we should have a really, really nice harvest of Romas. And they're so tall. I mean, I'm 5'7", and they're good 3-4 inches over my head. Good tall Romas. And it is time to harvest these pears, or at least some of them. Probably most of them, though. They are hanging.
Squirrels.
Yeah, we found several on the ground where the squirrels are pulling them, so we're going to go ahead and pick these now. And they're, yeah, that's a beautiful one. Nice, pretty. And these are a round pear, and they're delicious. They're the juiciest pears I think I've ever had. When you bite into them, they just burst. with water. Here. Oh my goodness, look at this cluster of them. Beautiful. I mean, gorgeous. Really healthy and pretty. Oop, and that's a nice one. Chickens love it when it's pear time. I peel them and give the pears to the chickens. Give the peelings. Oh, yeah, give the peels to the chickens, not the pears, my bad. Pretty. Alright, we'll finish picking these and I'll come back and show you what we got. This is what we got. Not a huge harvest, but nice. It'll be nice to have some fresh pears. That one's gorgeous. We're going to go in and do a weigh-in. Alright, so our pear harvest for today, we got 6.93 pounds of pears. Not a lot, but we'll enjoy them. And that's it. Thanks for watching.